Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to see what is meant by API, what are the different uses of API, and we will see some practical example and the problem and how the API is solving those problems. So everything we are going to see in today's video. So this is the basics of the API we are planning to cover in today's session. So we already started the Postman series. In the first session, we completed the Postman installation and some of the basics API concept as well. So I'm providing that link in the description. You can check that out. So let's start with the today's video. So, what is meant by API? So, API basically stands for Application Programming Interface. So, it is a set of rules and protocols that allow one piece of software to interact with another. So, APIs basically define the methods and the data format that program use to communicate and making it easier for developer to build a system by allowing component to exchange the information efficiently. So let's see the example. For example, a weather app might use an API to request a data from the weather services. So the API allows the app to fetch the current weather condition without needing to know the internal working of the weather service software. So this is the definition of the API. So let's see what are the different uses of the API. So the first one is the data exchange. So APIs allowed application to send and receive data from the external services. For example, a mobile app can use API to get the data from the web services such as the weather update, social media feeds, or the map information. So basically, we can share the data with the external application. So that is the first use. The second use is the we are using the APIs for the integration purpose. For example, APIs enable a different software system to integrate with each other. So this allow developer to build application that combine services from the various provider. For example, payment gateways, shipping services, etc. So you don't need to build everything from the scratch, so you can use other already built environment. So for example, payment gateways, we can use the payment gateways which are already inbuilt, and we can call those through the API and use those services. So basically for the integration, using this integration part, we can use this API for the different purposes. The third thing is security and the access control. Basically, APIs enable secure access to data and the functionality. They often come with the authentication and authorization mechanism. So basically, when you are hitting the API, sometimes you need to provide a basic authorization, and there are the different authorization type. So prove that you are a authorized user to handle those APIs. So this authentication and authorization provide more security to those APIs, ensuring that only authorized user or system can access the certain data or the features. The next use is the cloud services. So APIs are essential in the cloud computing, allowing different services such as the cloud storage, machine learning model, or serverless function to communicate and work together seamlessly. So overall, APIs make software development more modular, scalable, and efficient by allowing different systems to communicate and the work together. So let's see some practical example how exactly the API works. So for that, I'm taking the example of the flight booking. So for example, there are different flight services are available. For example, Indigo, Emirates, SpiceJet. Suppose I'm traveling with the Indigo. In that case, if I want to book a Indigo flight, then first thing I need to go to the Indigo application. So suppose this is the Indigo front end application. Okay, so here I will go and I will book the flight. So maybe for the flight booking, I need to give the locations from where to where I need to travel. So to location and from location I need to give. Then the other thing I need to give is about the date, which date I'm traveling. And then I can search and it will give me the data like which are the flights are available at what the time and everything. You will get the data, and from that data you can choose your flight and do your bookings, right? So how that exactly works, so let's see that. So this is the front end application. There will be the back end application where exactly the all code is written and all the logic is written, right? And there will be the database where you will see all the data is keeping there. Okay, so all the flights, suppose there are 10 flights available for that particular location and the date, then all those 10 flights available you can see in the database. Suppose two flights all the seats are booked, so you will see those flights are not available on their front end application. So here let's see how exactly it works. For example, this is Indigo backend application, and this is my database. Whenever I want to book a flight from the Indigo website, I will go to their website. From the front end, I will choose my from location from where I need to travel. So suppose I'm traveling from the Dubai to Mumbai. In that case, I will choose that to location and the from location. I will choose the particular date and I will see all the data which are the flights are available for that particular location, and I selected the date. So everything the filter data you will get. Okay, from that filter data, when you want to do the reservation of the flight, you can do the bookings of the flight, so that will hit to this backend application. So suppose there will be the booking, there will be some code written for the booking, so that will get hit and it will book your flight. So in the database it will be booked like, okay, for this date this particular consumer have already booked the flight and the seat number and everything that will get booked. So this is the backend functionality. Okay, we don't need to go that much into the backend functionality, but this is how the application works. So suppose instead of booking the flight from the Indigo website, I'm booking the flight from the other applications available like Make My Trip. Then there are Sky Scanner. So suppose I'm booking my flights through the other application and not the service provider of the flights. So in that case, what will happen? So instead of the Indigo front end application, I will go to the, suppose the Make My Trip. Okay, I will go to the Make My Trip application. From there also I will put my to location and from location and date, and I will search and what are the different service provider flights are available for that particular filter, it will show to me. Now how exactly it will works, because the Make My Trip need to check if the Indigo flights are available or not, but Indigo people will not give the access to their database or their code to the Make My Trip, right? So in that case, how this connection works? So from the Make My Trip, how am I doing the booking for the Indigo flights? So in that case, how exactly it is working? So let's see that. So this is the Make My Trip application. I already put all my details. Okay. So to get what are the details or what are the flights available on that particular date for the service provider as the Indigo, I want to travel through an Indigo only. In that case, what will happen? It will hit the API. So suppose there is a reservation or the booking flight booking API. So this is a flight booking API. So Make My Trip first will send the request to this flight booking API, and this will go to the Indigo backend application. How the request and response will work in that case. So this is my request. I will write here. This is my request and this is the response. So what make my trip will do? So make my trip first need to fetch what are the flight details are available, and then we will do with the booking procedure. So in that case, make my trip need to access the database of the Indigo flights. So in that case, make my trip first will hit the API. It will send the request to the Indigo backend application, like send me the details of the flights which are available for this location and the particular date. So that API will get hit. So this is the parameter we are passing, right? So basically we are asking them so details about the flight. So first we are asking the availability of the flight and then we will proceed with the flight booking. So availability, for the availability checking, there might be one API that make my trip will hit, that will go to the Indigo backend application. They will check the availability in the database and send the response back to the make my trip, and then you will can see that in your front end application. Okay, these are the five flights are there. Instead of the five flight, there are only four flights are available, one is already booked. So you will get to see those four flights which are available for the particular filter you are applied. So basically how exactly this works. So when you want to do the flight booking, again make my trip will send the API request to the Indigo backend application. They will do the flight booking, so whatever their internal code that will get run in the database, they will put those data, so that will get bookmark, and then again as the response you will get your flight booking is done. So basically how exactly this process behaves when APIs are there. So here if you see, we already see the integration part and the data exchange part here. So integration, we are integrating this Indigo backend application with the Make My Trips. So through the API that is possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. Then you need to go to the Indigo application. Then only you can do the booking for the Indigo flight. But now it is possible using the Make My Trip application. Also, I can do the flight for the Indigo. Maybe I can do the flight booking for the SpiceJet. Basically, you need to just hit the API. Even the data exchange is happening here, so whatever the database, it is accessing the Indigo database and it is sending me the response back, like which are the flights are available, and when the flight booking happen, it is showing me the success message on the make my trip. This is the use of the APIs. So let's see one more problem. Suppose Indigo application is built in the Java. It is the old application. It is the build using a Java, and the backend maybe they are using JavaScript or something, and they have built the application from very long time back. And make my trip is the latest application. Suppose they are using the Angular and the TypeScript for their application to build, so they are using the latest technology. This is just for the example. Okay, so suppose Indigo application is using the different tech stack than the Make My Trip application. Now, whatever the request we are sending, so this backend also it is built in the suppose the old tech stack, and for Make My Trip it is a new tech stack or different tech stack they are using for the Indigo backend application and the Make My Trip front end application. So in that case, how exactly this uh, make my trip and the Indigo application, backend application, uh, do the communication? So basically, when we are sending the API's request, it is basically HTTP request we are sending. It can be in the XML or the JSON format. So whatever the response and the request we are sending, so this is basically in the XML or the JSON format. XML and JSON is an open data interchange format that is readable by both people and machines. So JSON is independent of the any programming language, and it is a common API output in a wide variety of application. And XML is a markup language that provides rules to define any data. So it is not dependent on the any language. So that's how we communicate between two different languages application. So make my trip is a develop in the different language, and the Indigo backend application is a develop in the different language. Still we are able to communicate with the HTTP request through the APIs, because we are using the XML or the JSON to communicate between these two applications, which are language independent. So these are the two problems which our APIs are solving. The first thing is we are using this integration through the APIs, even it is not a language dependent, so we can communicate easily through the APIs. So basically that's it for the API, guys. In the next session, I will try to cover the different request methods, and we will do the execution through the Postman as well. In today's session, we covered a lot of part, like what is the API, what are the different uses of API, and we will see some practical example. In the interview also, you can draw this diagram and explain your interviewer how API exactly works. So if you want, you can take a screenshot and draw this diagram for your own reference. So that's it for the today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So thank you for watching video and have a nice day.